There's a shift happening right now that nobody can explain away anymore. The things you felt in your bones years ago, the visions that kept you awake at night, the knowing that wouldn't let you rest, they're manifesting in real time. Society laughed when you spoke about what was coming. They called you paranoid, overthinking, too sensitive. But watch how quiet they've become now. Watch how the very people who mocked your awareness are now scrambling to understand the world you already prepared for. You weren't imagining it. You weren't losing your mind. You were receiving information ahead of time. Downloads that your consciousness was equipped to handle while others slept through the preparation phase. And now, as reality catches up to your inner knowing, the evidence is everywhere. The timelines are converging. The patterns you recognized are undeniable. Your prophecies, whether you called them that or not, are unfolding with precision that even skeptics can't dismiss. If you're watching this right now, it's not random. You're being called to witness this confirmation moment. You're meant to understand that your perception wasn't flawed, it was advanced. How patterns were accelerating, how the old structures couldn't hold much longer. People thought you were being dramatic. They insisted everything was fine, that you were just anxious or negative. But look around now. The acceleration is obvious to everyone. What took decades to shift is now happening in weeks. What felt impossible last year is normal today. The timeline you sensed collapsing has collapsed. This isn't about being right or wrong. This is about recognition. You were picking up frequencies that others couldn't tune into yet. Your nervous system was processing data that the collective consciousness wasn't ready to receive. And because you were ahead of the curve, you seemed out of sync with consensus reality. But now that curve has caught up. Now that data is mainstream. The prophecies you carried as burdens are now playing out as plain fact. Society can't deny it anymore because the evidence isn't subtle. The systems are showing their cracks exactly where you said they would. The relationships that looked stable are revealing the dysfunction you sensed beneath the surface. The leaders who seemed untouchable are being exposed in ways that mirror what you've been saying for years. It's not that you made it happen. It's that you saw it coming, because you were paying attention to what others ignored. And here's what makes this moment so significant. You're not shocked. While others are reeling, trying to adjust their worldview, you're simply nodding. You're watching the external world finally match your internal awareness. There's a quiet vindication in that, yes, but more importantly, there's confirmation that your instincts are trustworthy. Your inner compass wasn't broken. It was just pointed toward a future that hadn't arrived yet. You noticed the patterns before they became obvious. You saw how certain behaviors always led to specific outcomes. You watched cycles repeat themselves in relationships, in communities, in global systems. And when you pointed them out, people dismissed you. They said you were reading too much into things, making connections that weren't there. But pattern recognition isn't paranoia. It's intelligence, and yours has been proved accurate again and again. The way you predicted, the shifts you sensed in social dynamics, they manifested precisely. The changes you felt coming in structures everyone thought were permanent. They're crumbling right on schedule. You weren't guessing. You were reading the energetic blueprint before it became physical reality. That's not luck. That's a level of perception that most people don't have access to or don't trust when they do. What's happening now is mass confirmation. The patterns are so clear that even those who refused to see them before can't look away. The cycles you described are completing themselves in public view. The consequences you warned about are materializing with such accuracy that people are starting to ask how you knew. And the answer isn't mystical or complicated. You knew because you were willing to see what was actually happening instead of what people wanted to believe was happening. This validation matters because it strengthens your trust in your own perception. For too long, you second-guessed yourself. You wondered if maybe they were right and you were just overthinking everything. But this moment erases that doubt. The prophecies unfolding now prove that your awareness wasn't distorted. It was precise. You were tracking truth while others were clinging to comfort, and truth always reveals itself eventually. There's a specific kind of resistance that happens when someone challenges the accepted narrative. Society has built-in defense mechanisms to protect its illusions. When you spoke about what you saw coming, those defenses activated. People attacked your credibility, questioned your motives, labeled you as negative or fearful. It wasn't about you. It was about protecting the comfort of denial. But denial has an expiration date, and we've reached it. Watch what's happening now. The same people who called you alarmist are now expressing the exact concerns you voiced years ago. The institutions that seemed unshakable are admitting to fractures you identified long before they went public. The social agreements that everyone swore were solid are dissolving in plain sight. The denial is crumbling because reality is too loud to ignore anymore. Your prophecies aren't fringe anymore, they're a mainstream conversation. This shift is profound because it changes your position in the social landscape. You're no longer the outlier. You're the one who saw it coming. And while some people will never acknowledge that you were ahead of the curve, many others are quietly recognizing it. They're coming back to conversations you had years ago with new understanding. They're realizing that what seemed like your personal anxiety was actually accurate forecasting. But here's what matters most. You don't need their validation to know what you know. Society's acknowledgement is just external confirmation of what you already understood internally. The crumbling denial doesn't make you more right, it just makes the truth more visible, and that visibility serves a purpose. It allows others to catch up to where you've been standing all along. It creates space for collective awakening instead of isolated knowing. The hardest part of being ahead of the timeline isn't being right eventually, it's enduring the period where you're right but no one can see it yet. That's the space where doubt creeps in, where you start questioning whether your intuition is trustworthy or whether you're just creating problems in your mind. The isolation of knowing something that others can't validate is profound. It shakes your foundation because humans are wired to seek consensus. But your internal knowing was never wrong. Every time you felt something was off, it was. Every time you sensed a shift coming, it came. Every time your body reacted to energy that others couldn't perceive, that energy was real. Your system was picking up accurate information. The delay between your knowing and external validation doesn't invalidate the knowing. It just means you were receiving the signal before others tuned in. This moment right now is giving you permission to trust yourself completely. The prophecies unfolding are evidence that your internal compass is calibrated correctly. You don't need to second-guess your instincts anymore. You don't need to soften your awareness to make others comfortable. You were reading reality accurately all along, and the world is finally catching up to what you already understood. What does this mean going forward? It means you can lean into your knowing with full confidence. The next time you sense something that others don't see yet, you don't have to wait for permission to believe yourself. You have proof now that your perception is reliable. That proof is written in every prophecy that's manifesting exactly as you knew it would. Those moments when information just appeared in your consciousness. You weren't making it up, the sudden understandings, the knowing that came without logical explanation. Those were downloads. Your consciousness was being prepared for what's unfolding now. You were given information ahead of time so you could process it, integrate it, and be ready when the collective experienced it. Think about what you knew years ago that seemed impossible then but is obvious now. Think about the shifts you felt coming that everyone said would never happen. Those weren't fantasies or fears. They were accurate previews of timeline shifts. Your consciousness was advanced enough to receive them and strong enough to hold them, even when external reality didn't match yet. The reason you received these downloads is because you have a role in this unfolding. You're not just observing the changes, you're meant to help others navigate them. The preparation you went through, the isolation, the doubt, the years of being ahead of everyone else. That was training. You learned how to hold information that others couldn't handle yet. You developed the capacity to sit with knowing even when it was uncomfortable. Now that your prophecies are manifesting, people are going to need guidance. They're going to be disoriented by the rapid changes, confused by the collapse of old structures, overwhelmed by the acceleration of time. And you're going to be one of the stable points, because you already went through your disorientation phase. You already processed this shift. You're not scrambling to adjust your worldview because yours has been accurate all along. Even you probably didn't expect it to unfold this quickly. The acceleration has surpassed most predictions. What you thought might take another decade is happening right now. The changes you sensed were coming eventually are manifesting with such speed that it's almost overwhelming, even for those who saw them coming. This acceleration is significant because it means we're in a major transition point, not a gradual evolution. Society is experiencing what you felt individually years ago. The sense that everything is speeding up, that there's no time to catch your breath, that each day brings shifts that would have taken months before. The collective is going through its awakening at an accelerated pace. And because it's happening so fast, the resistance is breaking down faster too. There's no time for prolonged denial when reality is shifting this quickly. This rapid unfolding serves multiple purposes. First, it validates your perception with undeniable speed. You don't have to wait decades to see if you were right. The confirmation is coming fast enough that you can witness it clearly. Second, it forces collective adaptation. When change happens gradually, people can ignore it. When it happens this fast, adaptation becomes mandatory. The old patterns simply cannot sustain themselves at this speed. For you, this acceleration means your role becomes more visible and more necessary. The people who dismissed you will need your perspective now. The frameworks you've been building while everyone else operated in old paradigms will become valuable. You've been preparing for this moment whether you realized it or not. And now that it's here, your preparation positions you as someone who understands what's happening while others are still trying to orient themselves. They made you feel like your sensitivity was a problem. They told you that you felt too much, perceived too much, cared too much. They framed your awareness as weakness, as if being unable to ignore dysfunction was a character flaw. But your sensitivity was never weakness. It was advanced perception. It was the ability to pick up signals that others missed completely. And that ability is exactly why you saw these prophecies before they manifested.